Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the RSCast Week 4 recap. It's been a long week this week, and with it being Halloween soon, we have got some mightily scary clips for you tonight. A new section to the show, added a little bit to the individual clip we usually show. But before we get to that, let's introduce the casters tonight. And with me is Barmanitan and Senji.
Hello, everyone. It's another week in the RSCast. I have returned after a couple of weeks' absence, but I'm back, and I'm sure it is going to be more hype than ever.
It is. I mean, we've got the all admin cast again.
What fun.
It is, and I'll expand on that. Senji told us before the stream he hasn't been on here for about 2 months with the full admin cast, so here we are back again. Unfortunately, Boopy couldn't be with us or Hot tonight, and we've got the original cast back, so let's dive straight into the prospect week 4 results, guys.
Here we go.
So.
And Barmanitan, I'll come to you first, and we'll avoid each other's conferences for now. What did you notice on Glacies this week?
Well, the first thing that came to mind, one of my good friends in Maurice on the Cardinals, they had a clanger of a week going 7-1, and including in that match against Micah, Highvis and Maurice scoring 15 goals between them. So, both results really, really good for them. They've, been struggling to break into that top three maybe on that side of the conference. So this will do the world of good in trying to keep up with those top three and maybe trying to break that at some point. But yeah, that's it. And also Micah faction at the top of that 0-4 loss to Cardinals didn't do great in their cross conference match against Limousine either, who are one of the worst Ignis sides. So it's been a bit of a rough week for Micah as well, and they'll be hoping that they can try and turn that around next week.
Yeah, and speaking of rough weeks in Glacies, what about Exelon? It was an uncharacteristic performance this week, going 2-6.
Yeah, it's a tough old job. Oberon, the team that Cardinals beat to keep up their good form, actually went and swept Exelon, so it's not a result they wanted to come away with. I mean, Bing's maybe slightly more understandable. They've been doing pretty well so far, but that one is a tough loss to take to Oberon, and with that, they've only just squeaked into 6th, the last playoff spot, and it's a team that you really should be beating if you want to go on and try and win the whole season.
Yeah, and speaking of sweeps, Senji, I'm going to come over to you in the Ignis side, and let's just talk about Hot Metal for a minute, because 1 or 2 weeks ago, they were looking dead and buried in the bottom 2 for the season, and all of a sudden, they've just come up with this miraculous run of form.
Yeah, that was also the team I pointed out in my notice in my notes as well. Going into this week being in 8th place, coming out of it, actually taking a sweep versus the second team, and then a little bit unfortunate to drop the game against Digestives, but looking at where they were and where they are now after this week, it was a big turnaround for that team. And on the other hand, I also think Fearless Bravas had a great week, also taking Prelude down with 2 games, and then completely running over Overturn and catapulting themselves up this week a little bit. But I gotta say, a little bit of a question to what happened to Prelude.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you that after we got to that. Before we go to there, let's just talk about Orbit going 7-1 as well. They've been another team who have been struggling for form and find themselves mid-table, but a brilliant performance from them taking down Terror and sweeping Limousine as well. But yeah, let's get back onto Prelude and Terror. An uncharacteristic performance from the top 2 teams in both conferences, really, Senju.
Definitely. And I have to say, I like it that way because that just generates way more interesting tables than if we'd have the top teams just sweeping through the lower teams. So from an outside point of view, obviously not being in any of those teams, it's a pleasure to watch. And I hope for those teams that they can come back to their form they had previously.
Yeah, Kindling, obviously, the anomaly in this, talking about sweeping through teams. Unfortunately, Tartaros did get 1 game off them this week and stop that run of sweeps. So let's go over to the standings and see what that did to the Glacis table by Maniton.
Yeah, it's an interesting looking bit of a topsy-turvy week, as you said, of course, except Kindling now 6 wins clear at the top, but I think it is worth pointing out, Tartarus. I've made the position to buy week sheet, and they're the only team in this whole tier to have moved up every single week consecutively. They were started in ninth, and now in week 4 they find themselves in fifth, so they're slowly improving. Got that one game against Kindling. Could be good news for them.
I like that trajectory.
Hold your horses, Senju. We'll get to franchise standings and talking about stepping up the ladder. We're only in prospects, but we'll get there. So let's go over to the Ignis conference. And Senji, tell me what you see here.
I mean, mostly what we see is, obviously, as we've spoken before, Hot Metal distancing themselves from that bottom of the table group with their great week and kind of creating a little bit of a gap with 4 games in between them and Limousine. Apart from that, not too much movement, and the top 6 teams are relatively close. So, very interesting stuff here in Ignis.
Yeah, definitely. Anything you'd like to add, Barman?
Yeah, I think it's just pointing out Terra again. I mean, Prelude, they had a bad week as well, but they've managed to stay in that top 2. Terra, on the other hand, dropped down to 5th and now firmly in that mid-table battle. So, going to be good stuff from them if they can manage to turn that around, because it's really a bit of a confidence drainer when you're dropping that far in the table, when you feel like maybe you should be towards that upper end.
Is it too early to say I told you so, Barmanitan, for the prospect standings? I remember a little birdie saying Maraconda and Yannick's schedule would come back to haunt them, and it seemed to have done this week.
Yeah, I mean, Yannick was trying to prove us wrong with that, and he's saying that it's only going to be this week, but it's happening. It's not a good look, and you've dropped further in the table, so it's sort of bitten back against him a little bit, that statement.
From 2nd to 5th, but we will see whether they can rise again this week. And Senju, will come over to you first on the Glaciers side. What games do you want to pick out for us?
I think to look out for is definitely the the game between Oberon and Orbit on the other side. Both teams having a great last week, and them facing off in the cross conference is definitely going to be a very interesting side. On the other hand, I think as well the Kindling games I'm going to look forward to, because yet they are sweeping through the table so far. Maybe Kara might be another, in quotation marks, easy win for them, but then they face off versus Prelude. And if Prelude get back to the form they had before last week, it will be a top table clash from both sides. That's one to look out for, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. And what about you, Barman? What are the games that you're looking for in this lowest division?
I think it's all about the 2 form teams in Orbit and Hot Metal, both going 7-1, and one of those matches, Orbit Mages, it's really going to be a season prover for Orbit, really. They're going up against Mages top of their side of the tier, and if they can get a result there, they can really start pushing for that top 2. And the other one is Hot Metal versus Terra. I'm looking at Terra. They've had a bit of that dodgy week, and they're going up against Hot Metal, really starting to storm this Ignis side, and they're only 1 win apart now, so it could really, set the stage for how this mid-table will look going into next week and the rest of the season.
Yeah, the game I'm looking at here is Fearless Bravo and Terror as well. I think we predicted these. I think Fearless 2nd and Terror 5th in the power rankings. Terror obviously with that good start, so I think this is going to be a good game. And Terror will be looking to bounce back after that awful week. But we'll head over to Challenger now. And Senju, will start with you this time on Glaciers. Tell us what you see.
I think the first game that sparked my interest already last week, looking forward, was the Orcus versus Yahoo battle. Shared second at that point in time, and they went for a draw. I think that was definitely, for me personally, a surprising draw. I did not expect it. I was watching it as well, and I know at least of one team that was not happy with it being a draw. Then on the other side, we've got Epsilon going a little bit weaker than you might expect them to versus the sides of Atlas and versus the side of Atlas and Spark. I think they're definitely also not too happy with their performance this week.
Speaking of being
But
happy though, I think Spark will be happy with what they've done this week. The 6-2 Ignite franchise pushing up again. They've had that slow start that they did last season as well, but it looks like they're picking up. And Mercy with a brilliant performance for them this week. But
definitely, and one that I nearly just missed, but needs to be mentioned. One of the new build teams, and I would say at the moment, from my personal view, probably one of the two strongest teams in this Glacis conference. Gordon going with a 7-in-1 week, trying to close the gap to the top three.
it could have been oh so different. I was in the comms for the game 1, and they were 2-0 up, and they were losing on 0 seconds in game 3 and 4, and they equalised twice on 0 seconds.
Ooh.
It could have been a 2-2 draw easily, but somehow the ball was just getting kept up, and they managed to score on 0 seconds twice. But Barman, I want to get your take because you're obviously transactions head. What about the cut from Yahoo this week? Obviously, one of the better players in Challenger getting cut.
Yeah, they really weren't happy with where Victor, or I think he's now known as Nalar, and he's changed back to that name, weren't happy with how he was acting in the team and how he thought that he could carry himself in this team. So they have turned that around and picked up a pretty good player. I think is it Dreed they've picked up, who dropped from minor. He had a couple of weeks in Custard Creams, didn't enjoy it, come back to Challenger, and that really sets themselves up to go and have a good season. They've beaten the Zuko Gang, gotten that draw with Orcus. It's a tough match, but it should be good, and hopefully that'll raise the team morale, raise the team spirit, and really give them a boost going towards the latter half of the season.
Yeah, and moving on to Ignis, Barman, keep it with you. What did you see over on this side?
One of the mid-table clashes that I thought was pretty interesting was Overrule sweeping Satellite, and that includes an 8-1 victory in one of those games, so absolute domination from Overrule in that one, and it really separates the two sides. Overrule now is full 6 wins clear of Satellite, so that was definitely a good match for them. We've also got in the report that the postponed match there, Fearless Kill Overrule, was 2-2, so 6-2 for them. Pretty good overall. Something else that I noticed was, if I can get my words together, of course, Neptunium going 8-0, yes. So they're definitely carrying on their good form. They will go into first for the second time this season. They dropped it to Chorus last week, but they've come back with a fighting spirit, sweeping my team Apprentices. We had to get a couple of prospect subs in, but that's no discredit to Neptunium. They were great in that match. I'm sure they were good against Satellite as well, and yeah, great stuff from them. They're looking like definitely one of the contenders for the title.
Yeah, and any games that you saw this week, Sindhu?
I think I've gone over those I've noticed. One little thing I wanted to mention for the German viewers. We've had a talk in some staff channel, and out of that came a German cast of the game Orcus versus Yahoo. So if you want to check it out, go to member promo and maybe give me some feedback.
Yeah, indeed, Senji with his German cast. As we move on to the minor week 4 result. Oh, sorry. The standings. I'm getting ahead of myself now. We'll go over to the Glacis side, and Senji will start off with you.
Yeah, currently I think in Glacis we've got kind of a two-way way of thinking. We've got the top 4, which are close in between 3 games from Orcus to Scorn. And then we've got the bottom 5. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see who those 2 teams are going to be that are going to be able to go into play-ins with the top 4. Because at the moment, the way it's going, I don't see any of those 4 teams going below the top 4.
Yeah, and anything you saw in this conference, Barmaniton?
I think it's a bit of a tough week for Masai. They're firmly part of that bottom 5, and they went 1-7 last week, so not getting any closer to moving towards 6th, which is that all-important last play-in spot, and it's really time to start stepping it up now. You've only got 9 wins all season, and going 1-7 is really not going to help with that ambition to try and get into the playoffs.
Yeah, and just recognizing on these tables as well, they're all so close in a lot of tiers now. I think like 1st to 7th or 8th all have like 10 to 20 wins. It's just so stacked up. And we go over to Ignis now and keep it with you, Bam. Who are the big movers this week?
Well, we see Overrule go up to 4th with their sweep over Satellite, and Satellite's 0-8 week means that they dropped to 8th. I think they've made some roster moves as well, and in trying to change that, they've dropped Jobin, and they've picked up a couple new players, so maybe that'll help turn it around, because there's still only 1 win off of 6th, and it is still really, really close between those mid-table teams. Neptunium, of course, going 8-0 and keeping it strong at the top, but Chorus and Pyromancer are still not very far behind them, and that top 3 fight for those all-important top 2 spots could really start heating up in week 5 and forward.
And Senji, is it worth mentioning that Gandhi got a goodbye party on Parthenace? They got the first win of the season, I think.
I did definitely. That's worth mentioning, but I did not know of it.
Well, I think
They beat Masai in the cross conference.
Yeah, they won 3-1 against Masai, I think, and I think they were only on 2 for 24 last week, so a decent week for them, or 2 for 22. But yeah, we'll move over to the
congrats to them.
Move over to the schedule. And Senji, what games do you pick out from first glance?
I think there's a few very interesting battles this week. First off, we've got Epsilon that's going to face Yahoo. Again, for Yahoo, it's 2nd versus 3rd. And it might be a very interesting game indeed. Then we've got the cross conference between Pyromancers and Orcus. If I got my stats correctly, both teams have the exact same amount of wins. So a very stacked game there. And then one little thing that I also found very peculiar is that Gorn is going to have the same week that Epsilon had last week. I think there is a little bit of a nice indirect a line that can be drawn here to compare both of these teams.
Yeah, definitely. Scorn will be looking to get a bit closer to the top 2, obviously with the Epsilon and Yahoo playing each other. But one that I'm looking forward to here is Nezuko Gang versus Orcus as well. Orcus obviously sweeping quite a few teams recently, and Nezuko showing a little bit of improved form. They've definitely got a good team with Cez leading the line, but we'll head over to you, Bam, and Ignis. What can you tell us over there?
Yeah, just another point in Nezuko Gang. They just picked up Jobin, and he's pretty highly rated, so all the more reason to tune into that one. But on Ignis, one of the first matches of the week. Well, actually, there's quite a lot going on Wednesday, so should be a very vital day to decide. But Neptunium Overrule will be big. Overrule have gone 6-2 last week, well, including the match today, the postponed one. Neptunium have gone 8-0, so the real chance for Overrule to prove themselves in terms of those upper spots and try and close the gap to that top 3. Pyromancers already 5 ahead of them, so they're going to need a result there. And looking at the other end of the table, I think Party Ring's Fearless Kilo is a pretty important one. They find themselves 1 win apart in 5th and 6th, and Party Rings have just come off of a 4-4 week, beating Apprentices and managing to at least grab a game against Pyromancers. So, you know, it could be an important one in terms of who can maybe be keeping their spot in mid-table and grabbing one of those playing spots. With 2 teams breathing down their necks, Apprentices on 12 and Satellite on 11. So it's very close in that 5th to 8th range.
Yeah, definitely. Just as a matter of interest, have we mentioned the cross conference, Pyromancer's Orcus?
Well, we have, yes.
Yes, okay. We'll move
Don't
on
worry,
to
I'll
mine.
mention all the important Orcus games.
Okay,
Senji
so
not to meet the beat with Midaferis.
We head over to the week 4 results in Minor, and Bam, we'll start with you in Glacies.
Yeah, lots of interesting stuff going on. I think the main team, well, the first team I sort of looked at was Prominence, going 7-1. They managed to sweep Ember, but that included 3 OTs, so it might have been a really good result in the end for them, but it was certainly close, and Amber will feel very unlucky if considering they had to drop all 4 games there. And great stuff for Prominence there. They haven't been doing too well in terms of the season, so this could be a boost to them, and they now find themselves 3 clear of Ember in 6th place. Other results I think worth mentioning. I think that streamed match, Safari getting swept by Yoruba. We were talking about it in the staff channels, and everyone was going into that one expecting a Safari win, but Yoruba come all guns blazing and get the full sweep against them. So that is an absolutely massive result.
Yeah, definitely. That was the stream game that I enjoyed most this week as well. Completely expected a Safari win, and Yoruba just came out of the blocks. Like I think they'd lost 3-1 the previous night, and we didn't expect a thing. And some of the goals that they were scoring, that redirect from Papusa was ridiculous. But yeah, we'll head over to Ignis, Senji, and what games can you pick out for us here?
One that stands out immediately to me is Overkill being able to go with a 7-in-1 week, and they faced the second place team in Uranium and beat them with this 3-1, and I think that just really shows how dominant Overkill is on the Ignis side. Then also still going strong against all odds we've put on them. Montpellier going with a nice 5-3 week with drawing the second place team. Definitely also very well played by them.
Yep, definitely taking the draw from the top place team prior to this week was a big result for them. But speaking of the top place team, they were drawing with Overkill, and they did go 7-1. So we move over to the standings just to see what that does this week. And bam, what can you tell us about Glaciers? This is looking ever so close.
Yeah, so tight. A little bit of a gap there between Prominence and Ember after that sweep, but still plenty of opportunity for those bottom 3 teams to come back, and still plenty of games left for them to do that. Also, Arena Tribe went 7-1, so they've overtaken Safari and Hydra with that week, and only 1 win behind Toxin now. That we were saying that they were saying that they were going to be a really good team. They wanted to be predicted in a good spot, and I think we gave them overall winner in those predictions. And their first week was pretty disastrous. Ever since then, they've looked on the up, and now finding themselves in 2nd is a great turnaround in the season for them.
Yeah, definitely a great turnaround. But one thing I want to point out is Hydra. They had a really good start to the season, and we did predict them last. They've lost 2 of the 4 initial roster that they had. Do you think this is the start of the downfall from the table, Bam? Because obviously they've been using Subza quite a lot in the past few weeks.
Yeah, looking at my positions by week, of course, you said they started well. They went 8-0 in that first week, and they've dropped a place in each week since. So certainly looks like they're going down. Doesn't look like it's going to change. And when you are having to make roster moves with a roster that you were maybe happy with, then it's not gonna do you much confidence for Louis the GM.
Yeah,
and I think Senji wanted to comment with something.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on the tightness of it all. Even if you look at it, that the last place team is able to get a draw versus the first place team, really shows that everything is possible in this Glacier side, and everyone is very close to each other.
It was 2 days ago, and he still has to mention it. But here we go.
He had to get it in. He had to get it in.
Here we go. Glacius was Barman's table, but we'll head to your table now, Senji and Ignis.
Gladly. I think here in Ignis is one of the most stretched out tables we have. I mean, we've got 18 games between first and last, but it is a little bit wrong to say it like that, because we've got a relatively big gap from first to second, and then a relatively big gap again from 8th to 9th. So I do think that everything in between is very, very close as well, just that the top and the bottom side are just a little bit off on their respective ends.
Yeah, we do see Comet rising up a little bit in the table, and I think they're just fighting some consistency issues at the moment. They are pulling off a few wins, but it's not what this roster wanted. They were really highly rated with Hoggy. in the team pre-season, but we also see Custard Creams rising up as well. They've had their fair share of roster issues, so some teams, the top four kind of like consistent, and then the bottom five fighting roster issues and stuff. So we will see how that will turn out. They're not far behind though. We go to the schedule and see how next week can change it, and bam, we'll come to you in Glacies again.
Yeah, it some good matches coming up. Go to Prominence again. I've talked about them before, but they are the form team, and we've talked about Hydra being, the bad form team. So that one on Thursday, I think that is, could be interesting to see how those contrasting recencies will go up against each other. Elsewhere, I think you're maybe looking at a Arena Tribe Yoruba. Yoruba, of course, sweeping Safari, one of the upper end teams, and an Arena Tribe going 7-1. So it's another chance for Yoruba to prove that they can go toe to toe with these upper end teams. And they're only 3 wins behind Arena Tribe, so they could even overtake them if they manage to get another sweep against top 3.
Yeah, and what do you notice, Senji, on the other side of the conferences?
What one that kind of interests me is Montpellier versus Overkill. Overkill being that dominant force on the Ignis side, and Montpellier being that surprise side. And I think if a team is able to get a surprise over Overkill, it's going to be Montpellier. So I'm very much looking forward to that one. Then we've got a few mid-table battles that definitely going to be also interesting to watch, and obviously the cross conference between between Safari and Sorcerers, third versus third. I think that's also going to be a good game to watch.
Yeah, that was one that I was going to pick out as well. Sorcerers versus Safari should be a very good game. Both in the same position in each conference. But that is it for minor, and we head to major now. And Senju, we'll come back straight back to you. What did you notice on the Glacier side this week?
Mm, excuse me. On the Glacy side, we've had a good week. Definitely for Venom going 7-1, and I think they went 8-0 the previous week. So after a few roster changes by you, they've really stepped up their game and are now flying through the table a little bit. Um, I think well done by that team. Then we've also got Megumin Cold that maybe isn't too happy with their week against with their game against Blaze, but at least, and that is a big win they've got. They're 3-1 over Zulu, who were I think second last week. So definitely well played by them.
Yeah, it's not a bad week from Megumin, 5-3, taking down second place. But yeah, the one against Blaze, they would have been looking to take them down as well to stay ahead of Venom, but they didn't manage to do that. Gladiators though, keeping their place at the top with another sweep and a 3-1. But yeah, we go to Ignis, and what can you tell us over on this side?
Well, we've been saying that Major Ignis is one of the tightest tables we've ever seen, but Saturnia and Bladesmiths are really looking to turn that around because both had fantastic weeks. Saturnia getting 2 sweeps and Bladesmith still keeping consistent, getting the 2 wins, going 6-2. So, it's still a close table by any means, but the top 2 really pulling away, and Andrew having a little bit of a poor week themselves, falling down to Meteor and only being able to get a draw with Delta. They're now 5 behind Bladesmiths and Saturnia, and it just means third to ninth is all the closer. Only 3 wins between them, and I think Saturnia and Bladesmiths will really take a lot of confidence from that.
Yeah, you did mention Andrew, and one of our predictions pre-season was that the chemistry wouldn't be there for the team, and they did get rid of 25% of that roster this week, cutting Hex, and I don't think they've picked anyone up yet, have they? I think they're doing tryouts at the moment.
So.
But yeah, Andrew looking to rebuild that roster.
Oh, they've signed Axel Blaze Frost. He was on Overtake, I think. So interesting
okay.
pick up that.
Yeah, interesting to see how that works out and whether they can rise back up the table. But we will head over to the standings on Glacies, and Senji, what do you see?
We obviously see Venom getting that ground back that they've lost at the start of the season, slowly but surely moving up the table, having closed the gap to the top two to now only being one game behind. Then I think we've got a very interesting bottom four here with being in between two games. I think Thanatos and Megumin Cold have a relatively nice lead over those bottom four, but who knows? Any one of those could pull off a miracle week and immediately close that gap again.
Yeah, we have seen a lot of roster changes from the bottom three teams as well. Prometheus cut Steeblood the other week, and I think have brought in a new player. Firefox also cut the GM last night after that sweep loss versus Venom. And Genesis rebuilt the whole roster pretty much. Skies has gone up to elite. I think they've brought Swaces, Zuckro, and Dopamine in.
Loop Nova.
Loop Nova. Yeah, I got those two names mixed up, but yeah, a lot of roster changes at the bottom. Maybe in the second half of the season they can push up. But Senji, come to you on the Ignis conference, and obviously we spoke about the sweep from Saturnia, two sweeps from Saturnia, one on stream as well. But what about the Bladesmiths?
Oh, they've had a wonderful week and they managed to keep up with Saturnia. And as Bormaniton before mentioned, we've had a very close table overall last week, and now we've got kind of a big two up there, being 5 away from the rest of the pack. But the rest of the pack is in between 3 games. So the closeness still applies, just not for the first two.
Yeah, Andrew will be counting the lucky stars that they do stay third after the week that they've had. But Necromancers, I think, one of the biggest fallers here to 8th. I think they could have found themselves third if they'd have won that game on stream yesterday. So everyone needs to be taking the chances to win games in this conference because it's just so close. And then we see what fixtures we've got next week, Barm, and what are the ones to pick out in Glaciers.
So many top teams going up against it. Megaman Cult, we said maybe they were slightly disappointed with the result against Blaze. They'll have another good week to prove that they can keep up. They'll play Gladiators, the form team, the team at the top of the table, and they'll also play Prometheus, another one of those teams that they really should be beating, but they failed to do it against Blaze, and Prometheus might be another potential roadblock for them.
Yeah, definitely. And Senji, I'm looking to your team for Natos. They'll be looking to push up from mid-table this week, and when they've got Blaze and Venom, who are 3rd and 5th, respectively, or 6th, they'll be looking to win these games, won't they?
They definitely want to win these games, but currently the team is having a little bit of a, let me say, slight crisis. That they're not happy with drawing most of the time, so they try to get out of that drawing behavior and want to get up the table, definitely. But I think especially the Venom game is one to be very worried about because the new roster you've put together is going to be a very hard opponent.
Yeah, we saw on stream that they are beatable, though. They did concede one game, and they didn't look strong defensively. They did play a sub game as well, Anima's first 4 games of the season. But as we look over to Ignis, and what a week it could be over here. Bladesmiths versus 1st and 3rd. Obviously, we automatically look Barmanitan to the game on the 27th, which hopefully might be a stream day. Bladesmiths versus Saturnia.
Yeah, that will be the match that everyone is talking about. It. We've been hyping up all throughout this major recap just how much Bladesmith and Junior have turned around Ignis and really changed it so that they find themselves dominant at the top. But that can't stay the same forever. One of them will have to drop in this match, and it's sort of the rest of the match is sort of pale in comparison to it, really.
Yeah, I just want to thank Axos for the tier 1 sub in chat for 5 months. Thank you very much. But maybe we should do what Sky Sports do and get a player cam on these players, because I'd love to be in comms with Sato, Wolfie, and Duck just for one game, especially a stream game. But are there any other games that tickle your fancy this week, Senji, on this side?
Apart from that, I think basically every game here is going to be a very decisive game, just because the standings are so close. Um, I mean, we've got Overtake versus Anju, which are third versus last on paper, but they're in between three games of each other. And I mean, Overtake could just immediately send Anju down the table into that last place if it went well, and if Bladesmiths also would sweep Anju, and the rest get a few games, and zack, the whole table below the top two get flipped upside down. So every game here is basically an important one.
Yeah, important games indeed. Just to answer a question in the chat, we don't know whether stream games, we can't tell when the stream days are because we don't know when the streamers are available yet. We do the polls after RSCast, so we'll know then what days they are. They'll be posted straight after this, but we head to Elite. And Barmanitan, we'll start with you in the Glaciers conference.
Yeah, another interesting week overall. One match that I got that draw against Hades, and Hades actually went 2-0 up in that match, including the second game being 5-0. But then they gave it away. They allowed Dogon to come back into it, and that's really not what you want when your team looking to push up and challenge, and Dogon are maybe slightly further down in the table. Other than that, I pointed out Titan. They're staying at the top. They got another 2 wins this week against Hades and against Google Chrome. They just keep on trucking. Vector, our good casting friend, his team just doing unbelievably. I mean, they're not quite so dominant at the top. Like there's still very much teams in contention with them, but they've done very well to keep on securing that number 1 spot week after week.
Yeah, Vector very confident in himself this week. Trading himself in for fantasy football and taking alls out. So he's obviously got the confidence in himself this week. For people who don't know what we're on about, if you sign up to the fantasy football that RSC runs, you can compete in the Elite and Premier tier, much like the Premier League one online. But let's talk about Diamond Dust for a minute as well. That team with Serve was one of the preseason favourites. I think they reached the semi-final or something in the preseason tournament. And they've just been renowned with losses this week and changing the roster, Barmanitan.
And it's clearly to their detriment because they're struggling. They're struggling to keep up or even field a roster at all. And I think that was in preseason, sorry, but still a lot of cuts coming through, and they've had to change it around because if you're not feeling a roster, then it's never going to go well. And hopefully, this new roster will start turning up to games at least, and maybe start even to get a single game on board. That's the first step to recovering from a week like this, and it's
No.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just getting frame drops here. It's back now. But we will head over to Ignis side, Senji.
Yep, definitely. I mean, the top game this week was Nocturne versus Iovi, and Nocturne with a great showing just took down Iovi with no big troubles. Then I think Oracles have had a great week. Obviously, if you look at who they played twice the 8th place. They had a, on paper, relatively easy week, but to go 7-1 in such a week is still very important. And not all top teams are able to convert quote unquote easy games into wins.
Yeah, indeed. And we head over to the standings in Glacies. And we'll stick with you, Barman, for this conference and tell us what you see again.
There we go. It's just scrolling over now, and as I said, Titan still at the top. Very impressive from them. They've been at the top since week number 2. So great consistency to see from them. But other than that, the whole table has changed. So plenty of movement. You see Centurions getting out of last for the first time in quite a while, getting themselves just winning one off of Diamond Dust, who of course had that disaster itself. And yeah, it's quite an interesting table, sort of gaps where you want to see them, and it really makes it competitive at both ends of the table.
Yeah, indeed. And we head to the Glacier side now, Senju.
You mean the Ignis?
Ignis, yeah, sorry.
I think we've got a very similar theme to, I think it was Minor Ignis where we had this as well. Yep, that the top has a gap. The first place has a gap to second, and then there's a gap to the last place again. That is a very interesting thing. We've got such a combination twice. In between, obviously, we've got very close standings. Oracles a bit with their great week. Phoenix, not quite as great of a week, but still clinching on to fourth place with their 4-4 week. And then Overwatch being able to take over Jaffa Cakes and Asteroid to move themselves into fifth place, but only by one game from where they were before. And as we know from history, one game is nothing, basically.
Well, in Fearless Alpha's case, one game is everything, because they could really do with the sweeps right now. 5-27, as pointed out in the chat, but a much needed week for Overwatch going into fifth place as well. Jaffa Cakes, these draws and 3-1 losses just coming back to haunt them now, going down to sixth.
If I just point, it's actually their first loss of the season, and it came with 3 OT. I mean, the draw is that is actually their first loss, so fair play to them to keep up the draws for so long.
Okay, so we head to the week 5 schedule, and Senji, what can you pick out in the Glaciers conference?
Here we obviously have Titan facing two teams that have rebuilt. As far as I know, so I'm gonna be looking at face off versus the Titan of this conference so far. Then a very interesting game is going to be, I think, Inferno versus Carnage and Inferno versus Ria's Legion. Obviously, coming up in this fifth spot, they now want to move higher. To move higher, you need to defeat those that are higher, and they get this chance now. And if they do, the gap might close from those top three. If not, the gap might even increase further.
Yeah, big games for Centurions this week, though, against Titan and Carnage. The top two, that isn't what you want to face when you're having roster issues yourself and you're within the last two positions in your conference. But Barmanitan, what games can you tell us in Ignis that tickle your fancy this week?
Well, Nocturne, they've defeated all that have been put before them so far. Well, maybe not completely, but they've certainly been convincing throughout the first 4 weeks. And into week 5, they face maybe a new challenge in the cross-conference match against Rias Legion. They are indeed the third place team from Glacis, so that's certainly a new challenge for them, and it'll definitely be interesting to see whether they can keep up their good Ignis form against the team from Glacis, and whether that other match against Jaffa Cakes will have something to do with that. That one comes first, and Jaffa Cakes maybe not having the best week. I think they went 3-5, and if Nocturne can keep up their form against Jaffa Cakes and bring that through to that Rias Legion match, then it could be you could really see Nocturne pulling away on their own in the Cygnus side.
Yeah, and as we head to the top of the RSC, the pinnacle now, Premier Week 4 results, and Barmanitan, this is your tier. You always talk about it. Let's see what you make of the results.
Yeah, I mean, only 5 results. That's how important they are. Of course, there's only one series for each of these teams, and I picked out Vibe and Opera GX. It's maybe a surprising one, but also at the same time not so surprising considering just how dominant Vibe have been compared to everyone else. But Opera GX coming into this, we're definitely predicted to be one of those upper sides, and despite how close the table is, it's still very catchable for them. They now find themselves in 9th on 6 wins, so they really would have liked a result in this one, and it leaves them in a slightly perilous position of falling even further down the table in the further season. Another result, sure you'll be very happy with this one, Archeo. Null, your Premier team, does indeed beat Warlocks on stream, the only streamed Premier match of the week. And I don't think anyone was backing them to do it, but they got the result they wanted, and they will indeed go into 6th, trying to grab that last playoff spot.
Yeah, I don't think any of the casters were either. It was complete shock. But Kizzy's told me that he's going to lose the next 2 games probably, and then they're going to have a big massive fight for the final games of the season. So they do really rate Vibing and Flame. So they really needed that win against Warlocks this week. But we head to the standings. And what has that done to the table, Bam?
Well, leaves Vibin even further on top. I'm not convinced the hours are right there, because I'm pretty sure Vibin were first last week as well as Luna, so something going on there with your script, Senji. But at the bottom, it's really quite close, and Vulcan have done well to keep themselves in with a chance getting that draw against Flame, because Opera GX got swept and Warlocks lost, so it really opened the door for them to maybe overtake if they got a good result. But the draw keeps them in it. They're not standing on their own at the bottom, and it's an interesting sight. There's only 2 wins between 3rd and 10th, and the one game of series really keeps it so close for so long.
It definitely does. And Vulcan are probably one of the Vulcan and Opera and Warlocks, the bottom 3. We didn't really expect this, Bam, when you did your predictions, because obviously I followed you a lot in this tier, but yeah, we didn't expect this at the start of the season, did we?
Yeah, I think that's maybe down to some of the quality from Oreos and Null. Not many people, including me, were really rating them, but they both find themselves above that bottom 3 in the table, and I'm sure they still have plenty more shocks left between the 2 of them.
Yeah, as we said, there's only 4 games a week, 1 series, so very close at the moment. But we head to the fixtures and see who plays this week.
If my stream would, there we go. Thank you, Twitch, for handing that over. And we have a weekend massive sprawl here in Premier. No matches until Friday, and then we get all 5, unless some of them reschedule, which Premier seem to like doing with their very busy schedule overall. But all of these matches, again, they're all so close in the table that all of them matter, just like that major Ignis side. But I think the first one's pretty important, Null going against Vibe, and you were saying that Kizzy doesn't expect his team to be able to win at Vibe, and are such a strong team, but if Null get a result there, then it's really, really good for their confidence, and it could mean massive things for them in terms of their playoff hopes.
Yeah, even just getting 1 game off the top teams in this tier keeps you around about the mid-table level. We haven't seen anyone really come out of contention yet for between the top and bottom. It's all very clustered, other than like you said, Vibing taking a decent lead at the top. But we head over to the franchise standings now, and I think Senji's been eager to get to this one since the start of the stream. And his goal of top 10 is ever so closely in sight. And Senji, I'll hand this over to you.
Yeah, my personal goal of top 10 has been achieved in a way, and in a way it has not. As obviously from 6th to 11th place, there is a shared number of total wins. And I remember yesterday we've had our last game of the week, thinking, okay, we need to win 2 games, and I am looking at 6th place. What do? I win only 1. But yeah, apart from that massive same win side, which I have to mention, Override has been 1 series less than the others. Same with Fearless Esports at the bottom of the table, because those teams haven't challenged or postponed their game. But apart from that, we see Ox Gaming sadly moving back down into the 18th spot where they were, I think, in week 2. The Confectionery having a little bit of a revival, going from, I think, straight 18th up into 14th place. Well done by Jacob. My jokes that he's lost in franchise standings no longer as good as they did 1 week ago. Then at the top of the table, we've had a big move. And sadly, we don't have Poopy on for tonight because he wouldn't be happy to see symbiotes moving over Systema Solaris. Then Dark Magic being able to clinch that third spot from Overture. Great performance by Potter's teams there. Waifu Fan Club just solidifying them over that huge bunch of 80 wins teams. And then, yeah, that's about it from the franchise topics. Unless you've got something else.
No, I don't. We can actually head into our next section, and it is the guest for the week, and he is in the VC with us already. One of our prompt guests so far. We usually have to wait a while for them to get in, but here is Skies, the GM of Alias Academy.
Hello, lads. Hello. How are you all doing?
Hello.
Good,
How's it
thank
going?
you.
I'm doing brilliant. A bit tired, it's quite late. I've got work in the morning, but I'm doing fine.
Good. You're like a man in demand. You've been wanting to come on here, and we've been trying to get you on here for a while now, and it's been maybe a season too late, but here you are now, Skies. First question I'll start off with is, what made you get into RSC, and if for the new players, let us know how long you've been here and stuff like that.
Well, I first started in, I think it was RSC season, 6. So, I've been here quite a while. I've been one of them long-lasting players as well. Not as long as some, but I've always been here. And RSC's just been one of them. Oh, season 5,
Season
sorry,
5.
yeah. It's just been one of them leagues that I've always seen as like a home to go to. You know what I mean? It's like it's a very loving community, and I love the way it's like managed as well. I know I've had a few talks with Archeon as well about a load of stuff in the league, and me and you agree on quite a few things together. And it's somewhere I feel like I can have my voice heard as well, and I just love the entire concept really.
Yeah, indeed, it is a new concept to grasp for new players. So, what did you think of the draft system when you first came in, and did it take a while to get used to the server?
So when I first joined the server, I had absolutely no idea about the draft system. Obviously, I was managing my own team in IEL at the time. That ended horribly, but we don't talk about that. We talk about how the fact that I think it was Stenos who drafted me. I completely no idea what was happening, and he just sent me a DM saying that I needed to do tryouts with the team because I'd been drafted. So it's quite a funny story that I didn't realize what was happening to start off with. So it's something that you need to get your head around as a new player. But once I started getting into the draft system and then learning it for the next few seasons, it really is one of the features that actually makes RSC, in my opinion. It's something that I don't see anywhere else, and it's absolutely brilliant.
Do you find the structure of stuff has got better gradually since season 5?
Gradually since season 5, obviously with little marketing that we had and a little bit of finance issues and stuff like that back in the day, but it has gotten miles better in the production value of the entire RSC, and even this RSCast, it only came in I think last season, and it adds Oh well, I'm mindless then, but it adds a lot of depth to this league that we don't see anywhere else, and it's something that you really want to be tuned into.
Okay, thank you. They're my questions. I'll pass you over to Senju.
Yeah, I've got 2-3 questions here for you. Obviously, you've now started off with GMing this season. It might not have started as well as you'd hoped it would, but how did you enjoy your GMing experience so far?
Well, I think one of my personal highlights is watching the draft balls. That entire stream was just entirely fun for me, and obviously I got a bit screwed over with some of the restarts, Senji. But I ended up with the teams that I wanted. My challenger team, shout out to them, they're actually brilliant. My miners as well. I couldn't ask for a better AGM when it comes to actually helping me in Azure, and a few things are like I had a few issues with my major team because obviously I came into here wanting to play with Tropical and Moogle, which two of my IRL mates, but it never really worked out in the end. So I tried to recover that, but yeah, it's been brilliant for my first season, and hopefully I can keep it on because it is something I really enjoy doing, and it's something to pass the time.
That's nice. Then, obviously, you're part of the coaching committee, but you're a little bit special in that, in the sense of you are our only mentality and welfare coach. And for everyone watching that maybe struggles a little bit, be it in mentality in game, what do you do in such so people know where to go and what to expect from you?
There's a common misunderstanding with this mentality thing. Everyone thinks I'm sort of like a therapist when it's not exactly therapy. It's more, you know what I mean? It's more like looking at the game in depth and changing the way you look at the game and perceive it. That's the sort of thing I try to offer. I try to look and show players what they need.
And welcome back. I am having connection issues around my town at the moment. We did see a repairman yesterday come in looking at our stuff, so apologies for the disconnection. So Senji, we left off with you. What were you asking, Skies?
I was asking Skies about what exactly he does as a mentality coach and how people can understand it when they would want it and know what to expect when they go to him.
Yeah, so as I was saying before, it depends if it cut off or not. I'm not really sure, but mentality coaching is not just, being a RSC therapist. It's more, looking at the way you perceive the game and helping players understand like what they need to actually progress in the game and not just, go play by play and do little things and point out mistakes that they have in game. To me, that doesn't really work. It never really worked for me when I was getting coached back in the past. So I tried to, revolutionize the way that coaching happens, and that is by asking the players what they wanted to do and how I could, sort of help and speed that process up. Obviously, there are some things you do need to point out, some silly mistakes, but the majority of it is just getting to the, faster at your own game and making sure you actually enjoy the game instead of just playing at someone else's playstyle.
That's nice. And then I've got one last question to hit you with, which would be obviously you've now made the decision to move up from major into elite. How did you come to do that? What was the thought process behind that?
Well, see, we were looking at the elite and the major team, and obviously the elites had some issues last week. They got swept, and then they had to forfeit a game, and that's one of the reasons why our other player left. Zero Fight, he was, obviously quite a known figure for a few seasons, but he DM'd me and said that there was some issues with the team, and he wasn't really getting told much things, so I had to step in and I had to cut the basically but start on a blank slate for that team. And Loop Novas just came in to major as well, and he said to me that he would take captaincy, so I'm so happy with that. And he's doing brilliant work already. He's got most of the game schedule. He's found a replacement for me in major, and I'm only just coming up to elite as well because I haven't got much time spare. And I think all the sub games have been played already. So we've got a new roster, and I can just sit tightly and obviously still be on a team if I needed to play.
That's nice. And those are my three questions. I'll now hand it over to my, I think, right side. So, Barman, go at it.
Yeah, I've got a few more for you here. You're not off the hook just yet, and gonna start it off with a tough one. And how would you rate the competition as a GM? How hard do you think it is to get winnings here, and like how much work do you need to do to keep your teams in with a chance against some of the competition in this league?
Oh, this is a hard one without offending some GMs, isn't it? Really? Yeah, no. Obviously,
Go for it.
obviously it's my first season GM in RSC, and I've got so many more experienced GMs alongside me. So Senji hadn't had a good run, but he's starting to pick up now, and he's getting brilliant, even better at is what he's doing. And Archeon obviously has been at the top for quite a while, and obviously with Yannick coming in as well as another GM, they've all been GMs for a few seasons, and it's hard to sort of keep up with them, but it's all about looking at what you think is the reason you're bringing your franchise into RSC. And my personal reason was to help people improve and to focus on building a community in my own sort of way. And that's what I've sort of done with most of my teams. Most of my teams all know each other. My challenger team all knows each other. My minor team, all good mates, and so is my elite team now as well, with bringing in Kebabs and also Wizzo. Wizzo and Serv have played before, and they're all good mates. The prospect team is the only one that's a bit of an issue because obviously I didn't know many mates down in prospect. But I do have one, which is Borelius. I know him IRL, and they're having a good time. That's all really I need to focus on. I want them to have a good time, but also be a bit competitive as well.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough league to get results in, but I'm gonna follow that up with the very direct question of, do you think you have a chance at any trophies in any of the leagues?
Ooh, so Challenger, I think that my team has a really good chance. They've obviously been performing really well, and they've also been together for around 2 seasons now. And I also rate Tanny really highly as a sub, and I personally think he's probably the best sub in Challenger at the moment. But that's just my personal opinion. By playing with him in the past and doing stuff like that, I've known him for quite a long time. And if I was speaking on any other tiers, I would think the elites have a good chance with Serve and the miners as well. I know Archeon rates my miners really highly, and so do I.
Yeah, and I'll move away from that. You've come in as GM. You've had a lot of questions. You found it difficult, but you've found some good things in the league. But on a different note, you're indeed a caster in the RSC, and how has it been joining that team, and how has the organization been behind that?
Oh, well, I mean, Archeon will roast me for this one because I haven't casted in a while. But yeah, it's brilliant casting alongside many great players and great people in general. Like, Ginge was a really good caster to cast alongside. There was a few, iffy bits between us, but that's because I haven't casted in a while. And my nerves were still there a bit, I can't lie. It's never, it never settles down. You always get that bit of excitement that pushes you up. And I think you experience that, Barman, as well. You might feel a bit nervous before going to a cast, but then it all just settles in. And it's something. It's a great experience, really, to just have. Having your players do the casting in the league as well. Obviously, most people in like professional level, it's all just standard casters that everyone knows. Whereas around here, you do get the opportunity to do that. And if it's something that you are interested in, then I would definitely DM Archeon, because I know we are looking for a few casters.
Yeah, that is, and it's been my question for you, and I'll pass you back over to Archeon.
Yeah, indeed. We did put an ad out on Twitter. If any new up-and-coming casters or even experienced people want to come into the RSC, you can do that and just DM myself or Source. He's my joint committee head now, so relieve a bit of pressure off me. But I think that's everything, guys. I think we've gone through as many questions as we can. Apologies for the disconnect. I do have internet issues around my area at the moment, so it's unfortunate. But yeah, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, it was absolutely brilliant. Me and Barman Senji had a bit of a laugh, so it doesn't really matter. But thanks for having me.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, and that was Skies. It's been a long time coming getting him on, but I'm glad we did in the end. But now it's time for Clip of the Week, and I haven't actually watched this yet, and we've got a special treat for you after this as well. So should we just go ahead and play the Clip of the Week?
All in, here we go.
Okay, so that was your Clip of the Week nominations. I'm going to put the poll up now. I'm going to give you around 2 minutes to vote on this one. All very good goals, but guys, do you have any favourites?
I do. I think the 0 second goal number 3, that was a carry over the whole field with a flip reset at the end. That's the one I'm gonna go for, I think.
It is tough. I think I'll just edge towards goal 5 to change it up a little bit. It is obviously elite, so it's the highest tier. You're expecting the highest quality, but it's still a very good read. Whether he meant to position his car, whether he knew that was what was coming, it doesn't really matter. He still got the clip, still got the goal in, and yeah, great goal from the Chianina side.
Yeah, my personal favourite. I think goal 2 was really good for a challenger. But he had really good control on the shot there. But goal 3, despite not winning the game, I think it was a 0 second goal, but it didn't win the game. Necromancers, it was still a brilliant goal by Evie, and the fact that he carried that all through the field, and the comms at the end as well from his team, like, they were just shocked that he scored. So yeah, I'm expecting goal 3 to win here, but we will see what the votes are like as they come through.
The votes are very much in favor of Gladiator's goal 4.
Oh, okay.
With, I think I've never seen such a strong lead on a clip of the week vote.
Yeah, very dominant from Gladiators, and I mean they're winning already, so we might as well say it's lovely cans. It was a brilliant redirect, but yeah, I thought mechanics would win over the passing play, but obviously not.
Passing just too strong.
I mean, it was a beautiful redirect. And not to forget, just so we've mentioned it as well, goal 1, nice double tap that got a little bit messed up at the end, but turning into triple tap by Chinch. I know he's very happy that he's at least got into the top 5, so at least we got something for him.
I think it was like a triple touch.
Vector says goal 3 was brilliant, but the defense just stopped at 0 seconds, and the team are in the chat saying that they were just messing around. So maybe the reason why Gladiators have won, but yeah, 16 votes to 6, with Gladiators being first and Necromancers being second. So congratulations to Lovely Cans, and we will play that again just one more time.
It was official. Cans was the passing. Was the one who passed. It was official. The chat are saying it's official.
Okay, I think Lovely Cans submitted it. That's why I'm getting mixed up then.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, we'll play it one more time. Okay, everyone, I've just been informed that it was Evoke that scored, not official, not Cans, so everyone was wrong. Barmani
Get there in the end. The chat told me it was official. I wanted to believe them, you know.
But yeah, we've got an additional video for you this week, and because it's coming up to Halloween, we couldn't go without these scarily missed shots coming at you in a fail of the week montage. So we usually only have 1 submission per week. We had 7 this week. We've cut it down to 5. Plus there's one memey one at the end, so we'll play it for you right now. I hope you enjoy this one, because this has been the best one this week. Enjoy.
There's still 3 minutes on the clock, and they will come and try and bring this back. Isn't looking too good. The lagger, the last man back, bumped out of the... I've been looking to push forward and try and punish some of these crossing defenses. They got one, but struggling to get that second. But they keep coming again. Here we go again. They just keep blocking it on you. Then she should have the open shot. Instead has it into the middle, I think, but no one was waiting for it, so they'll have to retake possession. Good demo from Senji, but he's just taking the ball off Mickey. He has the open shot.
Why did Mickey do that? He had a perfect demo and a perfect setup. How a loss is so much more so much worse. It affects you so much more. Again, they get in. Wait, hold on, no, Lewis! What has happened there? That was an open net, a free goal for Winter, and he's took it off the line into the crossbar. That is awful. And they've gone back up the field and.
More of that, and they should be able to see out this game too, and hopefully the rest of the series for them.
Oh no! Oh no!
MZ, still screaming out that chain gang.
And there we go. They were the top 5 fails of the week this week, and I have no words. Senji, Bahmanitan, someone take this one.
Yeah, I gotta say, I've got like my personal list of which was the worst, going down the list. It's a shame to be on here, but I mean, just too good at the game. All of us, we're just too good at the game to make it not interesting like that.
Yeah, I mean, I've called 3 of these fails, so clearly there's just something about my voice that confuses players and what they're meant to be doing. But yeah, I mean, Senji, that truly is spectacular. I mean, they're all spectacular in one way or another, but I mean, Mickey, the goal was so open for him, but
the thing is, all of these could win very, very easily. Torchic, Frizz like a battering ram takes out the last defender, and Torchic misses the square open net. Senji, we've got to mention that I was disconnected in this game. It was a 3v2, and Senji misses an open net and butters Mickey out of the way.
I knew you were disconnected, so I didn't want to punish you for it, you know? Gotta make it interesting.
The worst one about Limis, he saves the open net, and they automatically go and counter the other end, score a goal, and then they lose the game 8-1 or 8-2. And then fail 4, okay, a backflip in net, it's not the worst one. And then Wizard, Elite, hello? Misses the open net. It's X2K player. Maybe we should have raised him at the beginning of the season. I don't know. But you've got about a minute left, guys. Let's get the votes in. But yeah, have you got a favourite, guys?
I mean,
mine is Limis, I think. Honestly, my list goes Limis, me, Torchic, Wizard, Alanis from those 5.
Yeah, I think with the circumstances, like I want to say Torchic, but I have to go Limis. The fact that it was saved.
Oh shit!
He saved his own shot and then got counted on. But we do have a winner in Senji with 15 votes. We do have a clear winner. So let's see what they were. It was Senji with 15, and then Limis with 4, Alanis with 2, and Torchic and Wizard with 1. So just as dominant as the clip of the week one. So congratulations for that, Senji. It might have been sportsmanship. Well, it might not have been. Who knows, but we'll watch it again.
There's still 3 minutes on the clock, and they will come and try and bring this back. Isn't looking too good. The lagger, the last man back, bumped out of the... I've been looking to push forward and try and punish some of these Proxy beaten him. They got one, but they're struggling to get that second. But they keep coming again. Here we go again. They just keep blocking it on field. Senshi should have the opening shot. Instead has into the middle, I think, but no one was waiting for it, so they'll have to retake possession. Good demo from Senji, but he's just taking the ball off Mickey. He has the open shot.
Why did we do that? He had a perfect demo, a perfect setup. How a loss is so much more, so much worse. Affects you so much more. Again, they get in. Wait, hold on, no, Lewis! What has happened there? That was an open net, a free goal for Winter, and he's took it off the line into the crossbar. That is awful. And they've gone back up the field and.
Why you wanna move like that? Why you want one? Why you want act like that? Why you play hard? Unless you heard it from me, then you ain't heard it from me. Got it from me, all the energy extra.
More of that, and they should be able to see out this game too, and hopefully the rest of the series for them.
Oh no!
Old school, all black, MZ, still screaming out that chain gang.
And there you have it, guys. Senji is the winner of that, adding to his personal accolades in RSC, Saviour of the Season in Elite, and Fail of the Week, Week 4 in Season 8. We do have one more Mimi Fail of the Week as well. We didn't think it was good enough to put into the vote because Twitch can obviously only handle 5 votes, but we do have one final one, and our resident Senji has edited over this, so I hope you catch the voiceover on this. But
Turn up the volume.
yeah, turn up the volume, and here we are. Hello, Cubby.
When the bass gets moved, couple hits to the face. I know that I need time now, yo, I gotta go and find my way.
There's still 3 minutes on the clock, and they will.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up. It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
We hope you enjoyed that, ladies and gents. We edited that at around 2 a.m. this morning because we were just watching it. It was laughable. But yeah, a lot of fails this week. Please keep it up next week because it's honestly been so great to watch in the background.
All the more fun for us.
Sky's having words with Cubby. But it's that time where we go from failure to success, and it's time to give out the weekly awards. And Barmanitan, Senji, I want your hype voices for this one because I'm coming over to you for these.
Just want to say, maybe Senji having some words with Senji too.
Sorry, what did you say?
Senji having some words with Senji as Skies talks to Cubby.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna have some work with Senji. I gotta encourage him to make more fails of the week, so he gets at least something. But I'll let you start in Prospect.
Okay, here we go. As we said, from the fails of the week to the players of the week, these players have done a tad better than what we've just seen, and we'll start it off in Prospect with the MVP. It was Say So Speedy with 515 points per game. Then it was our finisher of the week in Prospect. It was Quack. He got himself 1.75 goals per game, just beating out second and third on tiebreakers. Well done to him. Then Striker, the sub himself, IC3, 100% shooting accuracy. Not much more you can ask for from him in the Dominus. Then it was our playmaker, Avian. He got 1.38 assists per game. Then finally, we have our saviour, Cairo Stain, and he got 2.17 saves per game.
Absolutely. And as we move into Challenger, we've got in MVP spot Ren with 519 points per game. Obviously, you get that many points if you score many goals, and Ren does just that, giving him the finisher with 2 goals per game. But the most accurate this week was Grizzly Bear with 66.67% shooting accuracy. Most passes per game go to Love with 1.75 and with a staggering 3.71 saves per game, we've got Elusive.
That was Challenger. We will get our way into Minor, the yellow tier that we have here, and we'll start it off with our MVP, Brandtown, getting an astonishing 594 points per game. Then we have the man of the hour, the finisher. It is Archeon. He got 2 goals per game, beating out his teammate just about Punk on the tiebreakers. Then it's our striker, it's Mendinator in the Esper with 60% shooting accuracy. Then we have our playmaker, Punk, this time does get on the board over Archeon himself, and he got 2.2 assists per game. Very well done from him. Then finally, he's come on again. It's our saviour, it's Brandtown, the GM of Override. He got 3.25 saves per game.
And that being minor down, and now we move into the major tier, where our MVP is Lovely Cans with, 640 points per game. Wow, that's high. Finisher has been JB Gaming with 2.5 goals per game. With 60% shooting accuracy, we've got Nova in the striker position. Paul is taking the playmaker with 1.43 assists per game. And the savior of the week is going to Hex Obsidian with his 2.75 saves per game.
Second last tier now, elite into the Fantasy League tiers where it really matters for the people playing those mini games. And we started off with our MVP. And you might notice that it's the same as Major. Lovely Cans. He subbed up to Elite and got himself the MVP award. 535 points per game. What a week he has had. Then we have the finisher. It is Matty Mumu03. He got 1.75 goals per game for his team. Then it is our striker. It's another person who subbed up from Major. It is Duck, the GM of Forge. He got 60% shooting accuracy. Great job from these players subbing up, proving their worth as the sub. Then our playmaker, it's Quizzy. It's 1.5 assists per game. Really good stuff from him. Then finally, it is our saviour. It's Ren. He got 3.25 saves per game. He was a brick wall.
And now to our final tier, the highest tier. And in this highest tier, the best performers were DB with 562 points per game as MVP. DB again with 2.25 goals per game also gets himself the finisher. In the striker position, we've got Sathix with 78% shooting accuracy. As playmaker plays himself Labyrinth with 1.5 assists per game. And last but not least, the savior of the week in Premier is Lorelei with his 2.5 saves per game.
We have one more screen to show you. We've had all 6 tiers individually, but now these are the players that really stepped up and showed their tier what they were made of. We'll start at the bottom and work our way up. In Prospect, we have from the Orbit side, Joe Yates, 22. He did fantastically, getting a lot of points and a lot of goals. Then in Challenger, we have Mersu from Spark. He got 454 points per game and 1.13 goals. He was unstoppable, as Spark really had a good week in Challenger. Then into Minor, he's here once again. It is Archeon from Toxin. 2 goals per game, 552 points. And you really could not stop him this week. Up into Major, we have the Irish man that has somehow topped 2 points per game, but he can only take Major in the team of the week, and what a week it was from him. 2.25 goals per game, 1.88 saves. He just did it all for the Gladiators as they keep up their amazing run at the top of their side of the conference in Major. Then we have Elite. It's Matty Mumu03 from Overwatch. Great stuff from him in his Octane. And then our final tier, the player who did the best at the tippity top of RSC, it was CB from Luna Esports, and he was unstoppable on that side.
And now we move into the Fantasy League standings. The managers of the week in Elite were Vecta, Andre, and B-Shake topping it out on the top, battling it out and getting those points. Then in Premier, we've got Sky beating out over Oldham's D and Minty, and that with a staggering gap in between first and second. The best players this week unsurprisingly, were Mati Mumu, Vladimir, and KJ in Elite. Mati Mumu obviously being also the MVP of Elite. Anyways, same goes for Premier, with CB taking the lead over Spectre and IPA. And then we have the overall manager standings. We've got Vector in Elite, knowing what's up. Then Axelos doing very well, following up in second. And OLS in third place. For Premier, we've got Sky being the best. Oldham Steve following up close behind and getting trailed by Minty.
Yep, thanks a lot for that one, Senji and Manitan. But we head on over to the YouTube series of the week, and this was a much debated one this week. And we kind of left it with Safari and Yoruba. Everyone went into this thinking that Safari were going to dominate Yoruba after Yoruba lost 1-3 the previous night. And they just took the game by storm. Papusa with a couple of fantastic redirects and goals, along with Kath as well. And Yoruba looking to show why they are rising back up the league table in minor. So go and check out that on our YouTube, kindly uploaded by Swift Boopy and Ice Ice Davey. We do have a series per week, and we'll upload the premiere games that were on stream as well. Yes, so it was a 4-0 for Yoruba, but they were very, very close, intense games, and the social media committee voted for this one.
It definitely was a great series and deserves to be eternalized on our YouTube.
Indeed, and that is everything for the week 4 recap. It's been a good one. I've still not recovered from the fails of the week. I might just store that on my history for the next few seasons. Just to, if I feel like leaving RSC at some point, this will bring me back, because it's just like, why would I want to leave after these horror shows?
This is what we've...
Maybe we need to get the social media committee to just upload the fail of the week this week.
Definitely.
It was just a great montage.
But I think we should let it play once more on our way out, and you guys can thank the stream and close us out, guys.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. It's been great.
Yep, good night. I hope you enjoy the fail of the week again.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up. It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
When a bass gets moved, couple hits to the face. I know that I need time now, you I gotta go and find my way.
There's still 3 minutes on the clock, and they will come and try and bring this back. Isn't looking too good. The lagger, the last man back, bumped out of me. I've been looking to push forward and try and punish some of these crossing defenses. They got one, but struggling to get that second. But they keep coming again. Here we go again. They just keep blocking it on heel. Senji should have the opening shot. Instead has it into the middle, I think, but no one was waiting for it, so they'll have to retake possession. Good demo from Senji, but he's just taking the ball off Mickey. He has the open shot.
Why did Mickey do that? He had a perfect demo, a perfect setup. How a loss is so much more, so much worse. It makes you so much more. Again, they're getting wait, hold on, no, Lewis! What has happened there? That was an open net, a free goal for Winter, and he's took it off the line into the crossbar. That is awful, and they've gone back up the field. And
Why you wanna move like that? Why you want gone? Why you want act like that? Why you play hard? Unless you heard it from me, then you ain't heard it from me. Got it from me, all the energy extra.
More of that, and they should be able to see out this game too, and hopefully the rest of the series for them.
Oh no!
Old school, young,
Oh no!
black, MZ, still screaming out that chain gang.